Alright guys, welcome to another episode of Hooked Up Fishing. I'm going to call this the After We Fished edition. A situation came up, and a prime opportunity came up, so I'm going to try to take full advantage of that right now to explain presentation a little bit, mainly for the guys that were with me today, but I'm sure anybody can learn from this. And I'm going to try to cut to the chase. Because we're fishing winter, or you would say winter down here down south. The water temperature is 68 degrees. Last weekend before this one, when we fished Sabine, the water temperature was 60 degrees. But anyway, needless to say, we were in West Bay around South Deer Island, and following a fishing report from last weekend when T from Cypress got on the redfish real good. Well, I'm going to try to take you through this step by step. I was invited on the way home from my brother's house, or taking him his rod and reel, on Friday to fish the lights with Chris. CB hooked up, and he had a cousin that was down here with him from Dallas. I didn't get to go. I had to get rest. They started fishing maybe around midnight, 1 o'clock. Got into redfish. I mean, real tough. Chris said he hooked up with maybe 8, 9, 10 redfish. Caught a lot of slot reds, only kept one. Caught some trout as well, didn't keep them. And he said he approached another school of redfish that were under a light, and it was an inner light instead of an outer light. And what I mean by that, this light was in the canal more versus a light that's out at the end of the canal where it opens up into the mouth. But anyway, try to hurry it up and speed it up so I don't run out of air time, go past 12 minutes. He said the fish were skittish under that inner light. They burn off. He didn't get hookups. He saw the redfish, and when he cast in there, they left. Well, I knew right away what was wrong, and I looked at his equipment, and I noticed that he had 2 8-ounce jig heads, maybe 1/4 ounce, both him and his cousin. Not the right presentation. So I'm going to go across presentations real quick. I tried to explain that to Troy later on in the day after that incident. Oh, before I skip past it, there was a gentleman that came up to Bayou City Bait Camp, a wealth of knowledge. He's fished from Corpus to Florida for trout, snook, all this kind of stuff like that, and got away from it. Got tired of the trout bite and the redfish bite, and make surf wards, and he likes the big boy feel, and more power to him. But anyway, he was talking about presentations and all that today while we were waiting on Troy to make it to the bait camp because he overslept a little bit. Maybe a lot of guys didn't pay real close attention to him, the younger generation, and just guys that I guess don't catch the fact that this was a once in a lifetime opportunity to have a guy talk to you and tell you some of the things that he experienced back when he was trout fishing, red fishing, all these different things. But we tapped into that a little bit, got a lot of knowledge from him, and we moved on. We fished. Everybody has their own way of fishing. I was fortunate enough to have T from Cypress tell me that all of their fish came under popping cork with live shrimp. So I had that set up when I got out there, but I didn't know the area. I had to try to talk my way through it to find the area. The current was ripping through the cuts of those reef, shell reefs that were broken, where there was a point where there was an inlet here, an inlet here. It was shallow, hard to get through and navigate. So I had Chris tell me, hey, this guy that made a video, he made it over there. which is South or Deer Island, versus the reef before South Deer Island. Whenever I went by myself and didn't have no knowledge of it at all, I always fished that reef that was before South Deer Island or whatever. But anyway, when I talked to Chris and them about presentation, I told him a stick bait, a Rapallo stick bait, would have been great to throw past the lights and work it through the lights versus throwing big heavy stuff and really running the fish off. So I don't know if they really got that. I don't know if they really know what a Rapallo stick bait is. I'm not going to go get one right now. You're going to have to know that on your own. If you don't, get with me later on it. But right now, I want to go to this as far as presentation. Hope you guys can see that. Whenever I see these, I usually buy all of them off the shelf. I usually clean the shelf and don't leave any for anybody. The size of that head compared to the size of this head. And this ties all into presentation. I'll try to pop one of these out real quick. This is a quarter. See how heavy that is? I won't worry about opening it. This says a 16th, but it's a mistake. It's not a 16th. I told Troy that. And I love a mistake because I make this mistake, give those fish a headache or something that they can't take. Look how small, if you could see. That's basically lighter than 16th. This thing is super, super small. Okay, what that does, when I put that on the big 4-inch white Berkeley Gulp shrimp tail, which is when somebody asked me, what are you throwing? I went into Academy by my house, there was no more. I got to stop telling people about them. But anyway, it doesn't matter what bait sometimes, but for me it does. It's pearl white Berkeley Gulp shrimp. They were hitting live shrimp, T said, so I'm gonna try to mimic a shrimp. Unfortunately, it's got tentacles, but the piggy perch bite the tentacles off of it. They like it so much, and they bite the tail. There's splits in the tail from where the piggy perch were biting it. But also, this bait caught a lot of trout today. But presentation is this. It's winter time, so I'm gonna speed this up a little bit. When I take and put this light head in this kind of buoyant body, and you have current around there, and this thing has a screw on, which I love the screw on head. You don't have to worry about it coming off, sliding back, getting super glue, and all these different things. I've seen a lot of my old school partners, they got a thing of super glue with them. I don't like super glue stuck all over my hands. So that's what's going to happen when you're out there with super glue on the water. But you screw this deal on by taking it around and around the hook to the right. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. But this bait becomes basically like a twitch bait. And I was throwing this bait out there. Current was moving from the right side of my kayak across the front of it. So I would throw out to my right, and as the current was taking it, I would just lightly jig it to keep this thing suspended. And I started hammering big trout, 20 inches, over 20 inches. Just had a great day out there on the water. But that's what I wanted to get to you guys about presentation. You know, you can't go out there with these heavy heads. If you don't have a reel that'll throw something that light, that the head is basically lighter than a 16th, you better get with me, get with the program. This Lewis Browning that I keep talking about, it's in the video today where I was casting it and just not even touching the spool and letting you see no backlash. But this reel will throw that light bait a country mile, and that's what you need. And you know, if you don't have the right presentation, if you don't have the right technique of how to work your bait, you're just not going to get bit. And if you're not going to put a lot of time and effort into making sure that you present your lure where your strike chances are its highest, you know, you may as well stop fishing or stop trying to fish, you know, in an area where somebody that knows what's going on. Another thing I want to pass on to you guys, these swivels are a 10. These are a 10, but just because of the brand, these are a lot bigger. They're a dark color. These are the same 10, but they're smaller, just as strong, and a silver color to it. I like using these in between my braid and with my mono as a swivel. But these are the ones that I swear by, and I try to grab as many as I can when I go in Academy. And if I have to, I'll just Google them. But it's VMC, that's what's on the deal. All that's tied into the presentation, man. I wanted to cover that, you know, especially for you, Troy. You know, same thing, Lewis, Pat. I don't know if you're gonna listen. I tried to talk to you today. You kind of, you know, did your own thing with drifting through there when I was telling you to anchor off and use shrimp right there while I was hammering fish. But you know, this is something for you guys to learn from, man. If you are trying to fish wintertime, you need a slow sinking bait. If it falls fast, that fish is not going to chase it. The water's cold, they're just not moving as fast as they would in summer or whatever the case may be. So that's just a quick segment on presentation, man. Thank God I didn't go over 12 minutes, so that's all in one segment. Hooked up fishing at Hard Hitter Skeeter D. The videos are coming behind this where I hit them hard. Let me stop it right here before it goes past.